Covering the community, events, and people of Georgia, Carolina. This is the Means Report. Here is Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Means Report. Thank you so much for taking time to spend part of your Sunday with us. We sure hope the holidays are going well. As of the original airing of this broadcast, which is the first weekend of December 2014, it certainly doesn't feel like the holidays weather-wise, but hopefully that will be changed. And certainly, as we deal with a lot of staff vacations here at News Channel 6, this has the possibility of repeating, and when it does, maybe it'll be cold on that Sunday. But right here on December 9th, 2014, it most certainly is not. Now, I want to begin the Means Report by telling you that I have a heavy heart today. A heavy heart because it is wrapping up the end of an era. You know, Augusta's mayor has always done a great job of stopping by the set of the Means Report and keeping us abreast of what's going on in Augusta and Richmond County. It's wonderful because he stops by and in the course of about 10 to 12 minutes, we can hit the highlights of what's happening in the Garden City. You can't find that anywhere else. It's something we're very proud of, and it's something for which we're very grateful. But today represents the mayor's last appearance as mayor on the Means Report. And Deke Copenhaver, I cannot believe this time has finally come. I appreciate you being here not only today, but throughout your terms.
Absolutely, Brad. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And you know what they say, that time flies when you're having fun?
Yeah.
So yeah, the past 9 years have kind of flown by.
Yeah, they've flown by on our end as well, and I can't believe that your time in office is coming to a close. I do want to, before we talk about your time in office, and we're going to bring in our senior reporter, George Ascala, who has spent much more time with the mayor than I have. He'll come in during our second segment and talk to the mayor. But during our first segment, I wanted to talk to you about what's going on currently, beginning with our budget. This past week, we saw that approved. Your thoughts on the budget? Your thoughts on the budget overall?
Well, I will tell you, we approved the stormwater utility fee, which is something that we need. I was with the former director of the EPD this week. He said cities that don't have that aren't going to be able to grow economically. That helped to balance the budget. It is a working document, and it was presented by the administrator, Janice Jackson, this week. I think she did a great job building on the foundation that Tamika Allen had established, but it can be adjusted next year, and so I would think that that will be something that she'll be looking at and going forward.
Well, let's take a minute to look at it. You're talking about $6 and change on the average homeowner's tax bill to cover the stormwater fee. Are you saying that maybe it'll rise in the future or go down in the future? We don't know.
No, the stormwater utility fee will remain the same. But when you consider it, Brad, if you take it over the year, you know, and you ask your regular average Joe, would you be willing to pay $72 more a year to fix our infrastructure?
Yeah.
I think most people would say yes.
Okay, so $6 a month times 12, $72 to fix the infrastructure. But you know what? We just got hit with a 22% property tax increase. Isn't this kind of a double whammy here? What's going on?
It's unfortunate that the timing of it, I would say. But when you look at the growth that we're going to have associated with cyber, with everything coming into the community, this is something that had to be done.
When you look at Walton Way right now, there's a sinkhole between Millage and the Partridge Inn. Would this be the kind of money, this stormwater money, that would pay for those repairs?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a prime example of what this money will take care of.
And would we do anything proactively? Could we put in new pipes in places where we think there might be problems, or would this money just go to fix things?
No, it can be used proactively. We've got a great engineering department headed up by A.B. Ladson, so this is being proactive.
What about this $100,000 that's in the budget for an efficiency study? A lot of people hate studies and would rather see cuts come elsewhere than spend $100 grand.
Well, I'll tell you, Brad, I've pushed for that for years. It's with the local government, it's a question of where do you put your resources, and are we putting too much in some departments and not enough in others? I think it will pay for itself over time, but the key is going to be to implement what it comes back with. I mean, if you just pay for it and it sits on a shelf, it does nobody any good.
Let's take a look at the Hyde Park community. And for those of you who are not in the loop, Hyde Park is a part of Augusta where residents have lived for years. It is a place where they want to clear everybody out and put a retention pond in there. And we're having some trouble getting this project finished, Mayor, and now there is going to be an audit into where several $1 million that's supposed to go for the residents' relocation, where it's been spent. And then you have the Director of Housing and Development, Chester Wheeler, stepping down in the past few days. Your thoughts on the Hyde Park situation first?
You know, Brad, Hyde Park has been talked about for so long, and now we've actually invested millions of dollars in the neighborhood. We're not done with the project yet, but we get audited yearly. I don't think there's been any money misspent.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate with Chester Wheeler stepping down. I think a lot of that was he just got tired of being beaten up all the time.
Yeah, he was being beaten up all the time, but why quit? I mean, he said on the news this past week he's not scared of an audit, that he's dealt with audits all his life as an accountant. But if you're not scared of it, why walk away from the job?
Well,
why was he run off?
When you consider, you know, there was probably a good likelihood that had he not resigned that he would have been fired.
Yeah.
So I respect him. I've worked with him for years. You know, what we're doing in Laney Walker Bethlehem has gotten national and statewide recognition. So I think he's done a great job, and I hate to lose him.
Does this mess any of that up? Does it stall our Laney Walker Bethlehem progress?
Hawthorne Welcher, who's going to be interim director, is a good friend and a good man too. I think he can handle it, but you don't have the institutional knowledge that Chester brought to the table.
What do you have to say about Hyde Park and the residents who are stuck there? When can we get them out and start digging that pond and be done with it?
We've said this is going to be years in the making. It's not an easy process, particularly when you're following federal guidelines, but we are committed. This is the first time any government has really made it a priority and gone in there and tried to help the neighborhood.
There was a meeting behind closed doors recently that after which we found out about the resignation of Chester Wheeler, but there have been sources who say that in that meeting there was discussion of other firings of department heads in Richmond County. Is there going to be some sort of bloodletting after you're gone?
You know, I'll tell you, Brad, it's unfortunate, and I can't discuss what was discussed in legal. You know, that's why we have legal session. I have heard lots of, you know, people talking about that there's a certain group of commissioners that want to fire, you know, any number of department heads prior to year's end. That would be a terrible and catastrophic move for the government, because if you fire en masse, think about trying to recruit people to fill those positions. We have a new administrator that I really think very highly of. She's well trained, she knows how to run a municipal government. She should be the one dealing with personnel, not the commission.
Well, so you're saying that it's possible in the next 3 weeks then, we're again airing this in early December 2014, that there could be more firings if certain commissioners have their way.
Yeah, I've heard rumors of that. I hope that that's not the case, because once again, it would be catastrophic. I've shared with the commission that with Cyber Command coming in, with all the growth that we're going to have, that should be the discussion. How do we accommodate future growth, not who are we going to fire?
What about this new administrator, Janice Jackson? We saw a budget passed and basically her first or second week on the job. I don't know how much of that is a credit to her or how much that ship had already sailed before she got here, but you think she's having second thoughts about taking the job?
I couldn't tell you, but I have met with her 3 times in the past week, had a great phone conversation with her yesterday, and shared with her, I'm here to support you in and out of office, use me as a resource, because once again, we have somebody now in that position that's trained to run a municipal government, has run one in Albany, but there she was a manager, not an administrator. I think if commissioners will let her do her job, she'll do a great job.
You think they will?
That remains to be seen. You know, you don't know what the group chemistry is going to be like next year.
Let's take a look at bus service in the city of Augusta. How's it going, especially the Fort Gordon to the mall line that we're testing, route that we're testing right now? Not a ton of people are riding it.
Not a ton of people yet, but I think we'll build the ridership. And you consider, I think transit has come a long way in the past several years. As we continue to grow as a city, there's going to be more and more of a need for it. So I think you will see transit really run well in the future.
Does that have a lot of support? You've been such an advocate for transit. Does that have a lot of support on the commission? A lot of the members like improving our transit system?
It seems to have the majority of support of the commission. So at this point, but once again, you know, that's planning for the future, helping to accommodate growth. Those are the conversations that we should be having, that they should be having next year. And once again, not who are we going to fire today.
At the risk of sounding coarse, this final topic I cannot make myself care about. I just can't make myself care about it. But it was this naming of the municipal building where there was some talk once they decided to move the entrance from Green Street to Telfair Street that they would rename the municipal building. In the end, they didn't. It's still going to be called the Augusta Richmond County Municipal Building. Should we care about that?
I don't see why, Brad. I mean, that's just not, that's splitting hairs.
It is,
and
yeah.
So to me, that's, that's not an argument that we need to have, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation about all things Augusta, and we're going to look forward to what's next in the mayor's life after his term ends in just a few short weeks with our senior reporter, George Askelo. We're with Mayor Deke Copenhaver on the Means Report.